Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Some people just want to complain about everything because their life is miserable, so they want everyone else to give them attention. Our first story is a good example of that. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Woman gets mad at me for using the motorized cart. I work as a courtesy clerk for my local mega chain grocery store. Cart collection, cleanup, and customer service are my main workloads. As with most mega chain stores, we have a motorized cart for any customers that may have problems with walking. I don't know what the situation is for other stores, but if the user wants to, they can drive the cart out to their car, provided someone escorts them so that the cart can be brought back in. The cart sort of works the same way a lawnmower does. Even if it's on, it won't work unless a pressure switch in the seat is triggered. Someone has to be sitting on the seat. It's awkward walking alongside the cart while pressing down on the seat with one hand and guiding it with the other, so most clerks just ride in it, which most people don't have a problem with. Note that I said most people. I was called to the front to help a man using the cart with loading up his car. I followed him out, did the deed, received a toonie for my troubles, and proceeded to drive the cart in. As I went in through the doors, I passed a couple who were leaving with their groceries. The woman gave me a confused look as I drove past them, but I paid it no mind. I drove the cart back to its charging station, hooked it up, and began walking off when I heard a shrill voice behind me. "How dare you? Have you no shame?" I turned around to see the woman from the couple I had just passed on their way out, walking up to me with a look of malice on her face and a swagger in her step that said, "You're in trouble, and I'm gonna put you in your place." "I'm sorry, but are you talking to me?" I asked the woman. "Who else would I be talking to?" she snapped back. "You have the audacity to drive around in that handicapped cart when you can walk just fine?" "Oh no, I wasn't driving around in it. I was bringing it back in after a customer was finished with it," I politely retorted. "That still doesn't give you the right to drive around on it and waste the battery. What if someone who actually needs it comes in?" "Ma'am, the cart goes into charging mode whenever it's not in use, and it has a long battery life. Me driving it back into the store won't drain it instantly, and I wouldn't be able to use it unless I drove it back in." "Stop making excuses for your laziness." This woman's shrieking had gotten some people's attention, one of which was my department's manager. She walks up to the woman and says, "Excuse me, miss, is everything all right?" "No," the lady barks. "Your employee is jerking around on the handicap cart and trying to lie his way out of it." My manager turned to me and asked me to explain. I told her about the customer and how he took the cart outside, so I was just bringing it back in. At that point, the woman barged back into the conversation, "But that doesn't give you the excuse to use it." My manager told her to calm down and reiterated that the cart wouldn't work unless someone was sitting on it, so it was 100% okay for me to drive it back into the store. The woman wasn't having it, though. She tried to argue that I shouldn't be using it if I wasn't in need of it, that it takes the cart away from those who really need it, blah, blah, blah. My manager heard enough and told the woman that if she didn't peacefully leave, then security would be called to escort her out of the store. She let out a loud humph and walked out of the store. And our second story. Karen starts a nasty rumor that I shouldn't be working in an election due to my disability. It's been a few years, but in my small town, an anonymous Karen launched a nasty rumor that I should not be working at the municipal elections due to my speech impediment and disability. I'm deaf, and my speech impediment comes with it. I didn't have 16 years of speech therapy for nothing. When I learned that City Hall was looking for people to work in an election, I quickly submitted my name since I'm familiar with the electoral process since I worked in provincial and federal elections. I submitted my name way before the deadline. Deadline passes, and I hear nothing. I called City Hall, and they tell me that all positions are filled. I thank the secretary politely. I see the outgoing mayor, and he tells me that someone actually filed a complaint at Town Hall against me. I get pretty pissed off and thank him. He also told me that the same person has started a strong rumor that I shouldn't be working at all. I get his phone number, written declaration, and I quickly call the Human Rights Board to file a complaint against City Hall and X, and I get assigned a case. An investigator interrogated me, gets my side, and interrogates Town Hall employee to get the name of who actually filed the complaint against me. The investigator manages to get it through a court order. Then he proceeds to investigate the Karen who filed a complaint against me. The investigator told me that he did many calls, she hung up on each one, and visits to her house in which she just closes the door on him. The investigator does a report and drops town hall from the complaint and targets directly Karen. The Human Rights Board tries to attempt a mediation process and she rejects it. They escalate it to the court system. I get a court date at the local court and Karen gets handed papers with an appearance at the court. She didn't bother to show up in court at all. I win by default, I get a settlement by default, Karen doesn't show up at the door or house, I proceed to go further to get my money, I contact her boss since I found out through the investigator where she works, I managed to garnish her wage through a court order. Her boss wasn't happy about it but conceded anyways. Karen apologized to me and said that she was really stupid for launching such a stupid rumor. I accepted the apology and managed to have it signed and notarized. I end the wage garnish and let her live on with her life. And our next story. Guy tries to get me in trouble for damaging my own car. I work as a part-time courtesy clerk for my local grocery store for a year and a half now. My job includes taking out the trash and compost, heavy lifting for customers, on-site spill cleanup, and, key to this story, collecting the shopping carts from the outside corrals around the parking lot and bringing them into the store. At my particular store, there's no designation between customer and employee parking. We have a fairly large parking lot as we're attached to a mall, so management doesn't really care where we park. The parking lot in question is also on a slight incline up from the store, not enough to be noticeable, but just enough for the carts to roll away on me if I don't pay attention. This has happened to me on multiple occasions, and thankfully I've been able to catch the carts before they collided with a car or rolled into traffic. About 2 weeks ago, a few carts finally got away from me and rolled into a car. I was trying to put together a large train of carts after rush hour and didn't notice the first few in the front detach and roll away until it was too late. I heard a crash and my heart sank as I realized what had made it. I ran over to survey the damage to the car, but quickly realized that the car I had hit was my own. The feeling of relief washed over me and I collected the runaway carts to bring back when a man shouted at me, catching my attention. AM equals angry man. AM, hey you, where do you think you're going? Me, I'm sorry sir, do you mean me? AM, yeah, I mean you. You just gonna walk away after you damage that car with those carts? Me, oh, there's a misunderstanding. That car... AM, don't try to weasel your way out of this. I saw you walk away shamelessly, but you didn't count on someone calling you out on it. Me, sir, if you'd let me explain. AM, oh no, you had your chance. By now, his Phoenix Wright-style accusations had attracted 7 or 8 passers-by, and he looks to a random bystander. Hey buddy, can you go get the manager for me? This guy's trying to get away with vandalism. The guy nods and runs into the store, and while we wait, AM proceeds to go on a rant about being a decent human and how you should always tell the truth, etc., blah, blah, blah. All the while, I'm trying to show him that my car was the one I hit, but he wouldn't let me get in a word edgewise. The bystander eventually comes back with the front-end manager, FM. FM, what's going on? AM, your employee just ran carts into a car and tried to get away with it. FM, oh my, is this true? My name? Me, yeah, they got away from me, but they hit my car. AM, ha, yeah right, prove that it's your car then. With a smug, crap-eating grin, I dig into my pockets, pull out my keys, and hit the alarm button on my key fob. Sure enough, my car alarm goes off, and AM is standing there, the wind out of his sails and looking completely gobsmacked. I hear a few chuckles come from the eyeing group of bystanders, not from everyone, and people finally disperse after shaking their heads in disbelief. AM eventually leaves, a look of pure defeat on his face. So much for being the hero. I mean, good on him for trying to do the right thing, assuming he was doing it for the right reason, but maybe listen when someone is trying to tell you something. And our last story. I purchased a vehicle and was assaulted by the salesman when I went to pick it up several days later. I purchased a car Saturday in Massachusetts. I paid $10,000 in a banker's check and financed the remainder. Upon pickup on Tuesday, I was told I was given a rebate, which was not in any of my paperwork, that I was not entitled to. The dealership told me I need to pay $500 or else I can't have the vehicle. At this point, I already had a contract, the keys to the vehicle, had the vehicle insured, signed over the title to my old vehicle, everything I needed aside from registration. As far as I was concerned, it was my property at the time. After a verbal back and forth, the salesman got tough and told me to back down or he'd F me up, etc., etc. After threatening me, I told him he couldn't do that. He then rushed me and violently pushed me. At that point, for my own safety, I tackled him and we were separated by all the other employees. During the separation, he hit me several more times because I was the only individual restrained by the other employees. The other employees collected my paperwork that was lost in the altercation and shredded it. The police were called and I filed a report. I've yet to request the police press charges. I declined to initially because after the altercation, they had possession of my $10K, my new car, and the title to my old car. I had no paperwork other than the banker's check made to and cashed by the company, and an auto policy with associated VIN. Police told me they couldn't help with the civil side regarding the cars and money, only the assault. I requested the charges be pressed. I couldn't help but think I would have been out that money in both cars for a long time as the civil thing plays out. I sustained a potentially broken nose and a medium cut to the knee. And what sucked the most for me? A brand new watch, which my wife gave me little more than 3 weeks ago as a gift on our wedding day, is destroyed. Had little luck finding a local attorney that would specialize in some of these types of civil claims. Update. I asked a friend go to the dealership and take pics of all the cameras there so the dealership can't claim they have none. Once I got a lawyer, I made sure that he subpoenas the cameras from the dealership so we had a recorded attack, the others holding me down and them grabbing my paperwork. It was obvious to the judge, and I got the car and the money to buy another car on top of it. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.